On Dennis Spence, have an invocation.
Let us pray. Our Father and Creator, as this board assembles today, we come before you to ask for your blessings in all that is said and done here today. We gather here as members of this board to make decisions on behalf of those we represent. We humble ourselves to your will and ask your guidance in all that we do. It is our privilege to serve the great community and our responsibility to lead in a way that will support, foster, advance the business of Mecklenburg County. I pray you bless every citizen of Mecklenburg County. I pray you bless every employee who provides some level of service to the citizens of this county. I pray you grant your blessings on every company that chooses to do business in Mecklenburg County. Allow every visitor to feel your presence and to be blessed in some way while they're here. I pray that you will send your spirit to be upon us. Open our hearts and minds to recognize your guidance. Enable us to draw upon the wisdom and experience of yesterday as we respond to the questions and concerns of tomorrow. Give us freedom to speak with the truth boldly and with kindness. Give us patience to listen openly without prejudice. Give us confidence to discover and explore new possibilities. Give us wisdom to discern what is right and good and just. Give us courage to participate in the ongoing process. I pray that anyone under the sound of my voice come to know the knowledge of my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. To him be all glory now and forever. Amen and amen.
Amen. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Y'all all seen the minutes of the June 10th meeting. I'll entertain a motion to approve these minutes.
So moved. Go ahead. Go ahead, Ms. London.
Ms. London? Motion's been made. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. Additions and deletions to the agenda. We're going to add Taylor Clark on item F.
Yeah.
Everybody find that?
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion been made. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. Mr. Hendrick?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and board members. The Mecklenburg County Planning Commission has made an application to amend the Mecklenburg County zoning ordinance by adding 3 additions. The first one is under Article 1, definitions of terms, to add zoological parks, and to add to Article 3, Section 3-1, use regulations, zoological parks with a special exception permit, and also to add a new Article 21 relating to zoological parks.
Okay. I would like to read this statement before we open our public hearing. Before we open the public hearing regarding the zoning text amendment, which would, if approved, allow zoological parks in Mecklenburg County with a special exemption permit. Today's hearing concerns those zoning text amendments. Today's hearing does not concern the location of a specific zoological park at a particular site. The board is mindful of the comments made at the Planning Commission public hearing, of the comments made during citizen comments at the board's June meeting, and of other information which pertains to this issue. The board is here to receive public comment on the proposed zoning text amendment. The board will listen to what you have to say, but will not answer questions and will not engage in dialogue. The board's protocol for the public hearing is as follows. Each speaker will be allowed 3 minutes. There's a timer light by the county administrator. When the green light turns yellow, the speaker will have 1 minute remaining. When the yellow light turns red, the speaker must end his or her comments. Applause and outbursts will not be permitted. If any of you wishes to endorse comments made by a prior speaker, please feel free to let the board know. There is no need for a speaker to repeat comments which have already been made. With those comments in mind, I would now entertain a motion that the board convene in this public hearing.
So moved.
All in favor of the motion, say aye. Okay. Jenny, we have,
The first one I have is William Newton.
Good morning.
good morning.
My name is William Newton, and I'm here this morning against the zoo coming across the Mecklenburg County, especially to the area that have been proposed, because it is in front of my church, which is the New Liberty Baptist Church, which I am a member, and I serve there on the deacon board. Now, my concern is that we have youth there. We have people there that attend service, Sunday school, service through the day, service at night, Bible study, activity day. And as I look around, I see some of your kids attend our program in the day for activity for the youth. So it not just only affect New Liberty Baptist Church in the community, it affects all of us. It affects the community. So this morning, I'm against that, because not only for the safety of the kids, but just think of the sanitation that we're going to have. You know, you drive up to a zoo, you can smell it as soon as you get in the car. So by having ours that close to our church, which is going to be right across the road of 58 on west side, from what I understand, we're going to have that 24 hours a day. And we also going to have that if y'all ever decide to visit us. So this morning, I'm asking you, please think about the decisions that you might make for this zoo to come. Now, as I look around this morning, I see religious leaders, I see civic leaders, the one that was voted on to protect our community. We just didn't vote you just to make decisions on how you feel or personally feel about it. But you got to think about what you are doing for the community. This is we voted for you. That's the purpose of we being here this morning, to speak our voice and to let you know that we do not want this in our community. Now, these animals could escape. I know some say they won't, but nothing is guaranteed in life but death. So anything positive could happen. And how would you feel, or how would I feel to explain to parents that one of the animals had killed one of our kids or attacked one of our kids? So please think about what you're doing here, or going doing or have done. So I'm just asking you to think about it. We voted for y'all as leaders of our community, religious leaders, civic leaders, to do what is right for the community. Now, I understand that this project will be financial benefit for Mecklenburg County, but it's not all about the money all the time. It's about a personal life. So please, this morning, take all this in consideration. You know, on the back of your dollar, those that have a dollar, look on the back of it. What it say? In God we trust. So this morning.
Sir, I'm going to have to stop you now.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Lori Huber.
Good morning. I'm Lori Huber. Ross Huber and I live on Highway 58, less than 1 mile from the proposed location. I know it's not definite yet, it's just proposed. On December 28th, 2023, a project was presented to the Planning Commission, described as a luxury stay destination right here in Mecklenburg County with exotic animals. You could observe from your cabins. You didn't have to go all the way to Asia or Africa. It was presented as a 3-phase project with 6 cabins added in each phase, beginning with a staff of about 12 and growing to more than 40.
As of this week, based on the open letter in the Mecklenburg Sun from Molly and Nick, they describe a 24 cabin project. By spring of 2024, the project emphasis had changed to education, youth enrichment, a place for families to find entertainment. A larger property was found. An on-site veterinary hospital was included with the description of the project. When community questions the safety of having confined exotic animals on property surrounded by private homes, including ones with animal breeding and young children, the response is to refer to the Richmond Zoo, where there's a local school nearby, and remarks are made like, quote, "We went to the zoo and it wasn't scary at all." Very insulting, implying that it's silly to be concerned about safety. When the community questions the welfare of animals confined in unnatural settings, the response is that a vet tech and a zoo display constructor know how to manage a luxury stay hotel, an exotic animal zoo, a veterinary hospital, with their quote, more than 30 years of experience. The open letter in the paper this week, however, refers to, quote, 40 years of experience. I wonder how they gained so many years of experience in just a few months. They claim there will be an actual exotic animal veterinarian, but that person is almost 2 hours away in Richmond. They will require dozens of hires to attend to guest needs, clean cabins, wash sheets and towels, manage and feed animals, clean animal areas, be prepared to address any issues that come up, both guest and animal related, as well as maintain safety, an important issue. They will need to manage staff, order supplies, keep the books, prepare payrolls, submit accounting information monthly. This does not even account for the uses as a wedding venue or party space that's also mentioned. When the community questions the local benefits of the project, the response references financial data for zoos from 2010. Comparisons were made to zoos that are nothing like the project proposed for here in Mecklenburg County. The Board of Supervisors needs to focus on three things: who's paying for the ever-expanding project? How does this enterprise make a profit? 2, the project keeps changing. Where's the business plan? What are the details? And 3, the zoning ordinance changes need to be significantly revised at a minimum to correct errors.
Ma'am, I'm gonna have to stop you now.
Okay,
It's 3 minutes.
okay, thank you.
Marty Bolan.
Good morning. My name is Marty Bolan, and I reside at 2211 Wilburn Road in Skipworth. I'm here today to oppose a change to the ordinance to allow a zoo and exotic animals in Mecklenburg County. Mecklenburg County is not the natural habitat for exotic animals or many other zoo animals. These animals in captivity are not able to perform the natural behaviors and may lash out in frustration. In this frustration, it could be very dangerous and harmful. It is not good for their psychological and physiological deprivation. The situation is dangerous for the animals and humans alike. I'm not going to go over again the children. I think you all heard of all of that, but very concerned with an animal. You can't bring a child back. Zoos disrupt the natural ecosystem by taking out native species and replacing them with non-native ones. I've lived in Mecklenburg County my entire life, and I strongly believe that Mecklenburg County is not the proper placement for a zoo. Again, thank you for your time and consideration. Concerned about what others have said. We have hunting and fishing in the area. We have a lake. Is the runoff going to go in streams? Is it going to go in creeks that lead into the lake? All of these are huge concerns that I have. So please take into consideration that Mecklenburg County, it would disrupt the whole ecosystem of what we all live here for. Thank you.
Patty Rosbach.
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
I live on Highway 58. So I know that we're here to discuss the ordinance and not the potential exception down the road. And we're here to discuss the ordinance and not personalities. So based on that, the data that was given to the Board of Zoning is approximately 14 years old. That's the data that they heard at the last meeting, and I assume went into part of the decision to vote for this new ordinance. I'm an RN, and research that we use in medicine, if it's older than 7 years, we don't use it. We look for newer research. That's not the standard for the liberal arts. I looked that up, and for economics, for example, any research over 10 years old is considered flawed and not really applicable anymore. The research that was presented at the zoning committee did not look at small zoos in rural communities exclusively. So the data is not necessarily applicable to Mecklenburg County. The other thing, Mecklenburg County has quite the storied history of supporting land rights and owners' rights. How is this rushed ordinance going to impact landowners adjacent to wherever this proposed zoo will be? And that's it. I just don't believe that this needs to happen now. I've not heard how we're going to change infrastructure to any proposed site. And I don't know if that's something that you all discuss or put in when you approve or disapprove an exception to a new ordinance. And that is all I have. Thank you for your time.
Madison Scott Rogers.
Good morning. You can call me Scott. I'm representing my property is 1038 Rogers Road. My mother is here that won't be speaking. She's 295 Rogers Road. My in-law parents are here as well. They're representing the Buffalo Junction area, Nelson area. I don't have any prepared remarks other than just speaking from my heart, and that as I have traveled through the community and around the county and have had conversations with different people from different walks of life and different backgrounds and different ideologies, different political beliefs, there's one thing that we all agree on, that this is not something that's beneficial for Mecklenburg County. I reinforce I don't think I could say anything any better than the statements that were just made up here at this podium as far as the impact on landowner rights and what our community reflects. And so I just reinforce those words and stand here against this proposal. Thank you.
Linda Beck.
Hello, my name is Linda Beck. I live on Chandler Road, which will be just behind where the project is going to be built, but I know that's not specific to this meeting. I picked up a copy of the ordinances, the definition of terms of a zoological park. And after reading these ordinances, it said they had to be specific enclosures had to be regulated by the USDA, the DWR, and the ZAA. When I picked these up, I was kind of shocked because the safety and security for staff, and then the facility that provides ventilation sufficient to all indoor facilities, including animal holding, to minimize odor and provide air exchange. And on this, on these ordinances, it goes down, and it's just a simple statement. There are no parameters. There are no measurements as to how this is going to take place. I don't know if that comes later, but when you look at this whole project as a whole, I'm not against growth in Mecklenburg County. But when you look at this whole project as a whole, it comes down to not only where you put the project, but it also comes to the implementation of how it's going to be built. And I don't really see any concrete evidence of how it's going to be built, or or anything. So with this, with the ordinances, I don't even know who's going to build it or how it's even going to come about. And the large article that was put in the paper, the Viewpoint, which is pretty long, you know, they covered safety. And I know we've been over and over and over this, but it stated that they had a multi-million-dollar insurance policy. Well, if you have a multi-million-dollar insurance policy, you sure don't want to I wouldn't want to publicize it. And I wouldn't want to state that if someone actually got killed, you know. So I think there's a lot of viewpoints that need to come into play when you're planning something like this. You can't just say, oh, this will be good for the community. It'll bring a lot of money, but will it really? Has the homework really been done? And statistically speaking, and I'm going to say it, I know I shouldn't, but I'll say it again.
I'm going to have to stop you now. You're
Okay.
3 minutes up.
All right.
Thank you.
Hello.
Good morning.
My name is Molly Waller. I live in Clarksville, and I would like to discuss education and safety. Zoos are invaluable educational resources, offering unique hands-on learning experiences that cannot be replicated in a classroom. They provide children and adults with direct interaction with wildlife. This kind of learning helps people absorb knowledge more effectively by being able to see and touch what they're learning about. Many zoos offer interactive exhibits, educational talks, live demonstrations that bring biology and ecology to life. Another benefit is that zoos play a crucial role in teaching the community about conservation efforts, inspiring visitors to take an active role in protecting our planet. Zoos spark interest in STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. They provide practical examples of how these fields are applied. They help increase environmental awareness. Many children today are not overly connected with the natural world and often spend much of their day in front of screens. A zoo visit offers a chance to disconnect from technology and engage nature. Lastly, zoos are accessible educational institutions. They provide opportunities for all age groups and backgrounds and often offer specialized programs for schools, families, and individuals with special needs. Now to address safety. Zoos across the country welcome hundreds of millions of visitors annually without issue. The stringent safety protocols and well-trained staff ensure that animals and visitors are protected. Many organizations regulate zoos and set rigorous safety standards that must be followed. Many zoos are in densely populated areas. An example close to home is Metro Richmond Zoo, which has been open since 1995. It's directly next to not only an elementary school, but a horse farm with zero incidences with either adjoining property. Zoos are designed to be safe, family-friendly environments. The safety record of zoos is a testament to their ability to provide a secure setting for education and recreation. A topic heard repeatedly is that a zoo animal is going to escape their exhibit, get across public barriers, through a perimeter fence, and kill or harm someone or their pets and livestock. In my many years of working in zoos, neither myself or any of my associates have heard of this happening. To back this up further, we contacted an independent zoo analyst and researcher who has access to databases for both pro and anti-zoo organizations. The researcher could not find any instances of this occurring with any large cats or wolves from accredited facilities in the U.S. It's understandable why this would be a concern to the public, but the chance of the situation unfolding is extremely unlikely. The research and statistics show that the animal escapes are incredibly rare, almost always handled in zoo property. They do not get off grounds and kill people. There are, of course, no guarantees in life, but an example to put this into perspective, the last accessible record of an escaped wolf being an active threat to the public was 1927, whereas lightning kills about 20 people each year in the United States and 100 more are injured. In conclusion, I urge you to consider these points and support the ordinance amendment to allow a zoological facility. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Janie Peeler.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name's Janie Peeler, and I live next door to Molly, and I've gotten to know them, and they have a lot of professional experience. I've talked about everything, and I know you've already heard all this, but as today, looking at a zoning, not looking at the specifics of location or anything, it's an opportunity to maybe be look at for the whole county? Do we want to have more opportunity? I think there's already lots of regulations and everything in place as far as the state that go to the specific, which could be addressed later on. But today, do we want to open up to some possibilities of different opportunities and learning experiences for our children? I think it's important we want to keep our heritage and what's here, but for our children and grandchildren who are coming up, they want other opportunities. And if we don't find ways to offer different things to them, I don't think we risk losing some of the future. So I'm just hoping that we can be open-minded about looking at this as far as the zoning perspective this morning. And I think sometimes when you take things a step at a time, a lot of things work its way out in time. But I hope we won't be led by fear of things that may never happen, and deal with things I guess just look to the future and what we want for the whole county. We're not talking a specific location today. We're just talking about the possibility. So thank you.
Janet Luff.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Janet Luff from Clarksville, Virginia. And I just want to say I'm in support of this because I've become even a member of the Chamber of Clarksville, not having a business, but just supporting businesses. And I see this as not a lark. People have training, education, and experience. And I wanted to say that I grew up in Akron, Ohio, where there's a zoo right in the neighborhood of the town that's 77 acres, and only 35 are occupied by the habitats for animals. And the only time they ever had an issue with a social media thing getting out there that there was a jaguar loose was because of social media. They were having a drill and people get carried away and think things are going to happen. The other thing I wanted to say that might not pertain to this particular thing is I live in Clarksville, right next to the sewage treatment plant. It's run well. It has regulations and it gets better all the time. They're improving it. And I can sit on my front porch and never have problem with odors or such. But anyways, that's just me. And I thank you all for listening and hope you consider this great educational opportunity for our community. Thank you.
Nick Rich.
Good morning, Board and Chairman. Zoological facility would significantly broaden what Mecklenburg County currently offers, attracting guests not only from the surrounding areas, but also across the country. Visitors to zoological facility will likely explore other local attractions, providing a substantial boost to local tourism and benefiting a wide range of businesses here. The economic impact of zoos and aquariums in the United States is well documented, according to a study that was given to all y'all on about half of the facilities in the United States from a professor from George Mason University. Said that zoos and aquariums contribute $8.5 billion to the U.S. domestic product annually and support over 120,000 jobs. Individual zoological facilities have an economical impact of millions of dollars in their respective communities. Job creation is widespread, including positions from animal care specialists, maintenance crew, educators, veterinary and administrative staff, all working on grounds daily in their specific expertise. There's also the need for contractors and material suppliers, as well as landscaping and maintenance services, all of which typically will be sourced locally. Some zoological facilities include lodging experiences, thus creating even more jobs in the hospitality sector, housekeeping, facility management, as well as adding more money into the county through the transient occupancy tax. Zoos also attract guests year-round, providing a steady stream of visitors that can offset the seasonality of tourism in our area. Year-round attraction will help add income to local businesses and provide consistent employment opportunities. And zoos and aquariums also have proven to be resilient sources of economic activity, even in tough times. Our previous recession, zoos and aquariums continued to generate significant personal income and employment growth. So by supporting this amendment, you're investing in a stable and reliable business that will continue to bring visitors and money to the county year-round. A zoological facility will provide substantial benefits to Mecklenburg County, including increased tourism, job creation, and increased income to local businesses. I appreciate your time and consideration. Thank you.
Kevin Cook.
Good morning. My name is Kevin Cook. I'm a over 25-year building contractor. I've worked with Nick and Molly. I know they don't have nothing to do with it, but everybody talks about, not everybody, but I've heard concerns of safety and fencing, things like that. And I worked at a zoo for 5 years. There was no issue with any safety. Any animals getting out, killing somebody. It's just ridiculous to think, to me, that someone would go through the effort of building a facility. They have their own children, they have grandchildren. It just sounds ridiculous to think anybody would cut any corners or anything of that nature to sacrifice safety. My children have been to the zoo that I've worked at. I've worked at 2 other zoos, fencing, the housing, the filtration, same issue. No one would go through the effort of spending the money and the time for the animals and not treat them the best they can be treated. I really don't know any other downfalls to why this ordinance wouldn't pass. It sounds like everybody's agreement. The financial part is good, other than just personal, maybe agendas of not wanting it. If that's the case, I don't know how you can even argue that. So I guess that's all I got to say. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Then I have Judy Brothers. Do you want to speak on the other hearing? George Toombs. Steve Wickenkamp.
Good morning. My name is Steve Wickenkamp, and I live in Chase City, where my wife grew up. From the perspective of a small business owner and someone who worked doing wildlife, human interactions in Alaska, and a Virginia master naturalist, I think a zoological society in Mecklenburg County would add a lot. I don't think that it would diminish or threaten anything that's here. I think it would only add to our community. That's my perspective. Thank you.
James Page.
Good morning. My name is James Page, and I live in Clarksville. I'd like to present these pictures of a zoo in Wilmington, North Carolina, that's been there for years. It's right in the middle of a housing development, a church, all kinds of things. And it just goes to show that you can have a zoo and it be safe and not have all this runoff and not have animals jumping the fence trying to get into the zoo. But that zoo has been there as long as I've been going down there. And there's a huge golfing community about a quarter of a mile from it where my stepdaughter lives. And it's been no problems. I mean, I don't see the problem. Virginia's about love. How about giving Nick and Molly some of that love?
Dale Sturgeon.
Good morning. It's good to see everybody. As I came in today, I saw a lot of friends. I asked them, what's your stance on it? Some said I'm for it. Some said I'm against it. I stand in opposition of the ordinance. Not so much for the location but the ordinance in general right now in Mecklenburg County. Do we need it? Do we need a zoo? Mecklenburg County is a county that I love. It's full of farmers, animals here. We have an abundance of them. I heard something about wolves. Anyone that lives in Mecklenburg County knows we have an abundance of coyotes. And the size of those coyotes, they've probably been mixed with the red wolves in North Carolina because we're a bordering state. If you go up at nighttime and listen, you're going to hear them talking to you. You hear about safety. No, they're going to build this facility to a point that nothing can get out because those animals are dangerous. That's why you have a high security facility. You can't deny that. They can build something that can keep the animals in because they are dangerous and they can hurt people. Our farmers here, if you have a cow get out, is cow dangerous? No. If you hit it with a car, it will be. But the point is Mecklenburg County at a state of development that we need a zoo? Not just one zoo or two zoos, because if an ordinance is approved, that opens the window for other zoos. Mecklenburg County, we have a lot of things going on. A lot of things. We have a great Occoneechee State Park, prime cabins, where you can, if you stay at Occoneechee State Park, you can see eagles, you can see foxes, you can see coyotes, bobcats, anything you want to see for free. So I'm not opposed to a business because a lot of businesses have a lot of great ideas. But the question is whether or not this business concept of zoos in general, not necessarily Molly, she's a good person, but the issue is whether or not we need a zoo ordinance in this county and whether or not it should be approved. I think it should be tabled. I think as Mecklenburg County grows and expands, maybe in the future there will be an opportunity to have such an ordinance to cater to the people who will want to come here and stay in a building that has from glass to floor, from floor to ceiling glass, and look at animals walk by in a caged area. I'm a lover of wildlife. I'm not necessarily a fan of caging animals and for the pleasure of people just to look at it and ooh and ah and say, oh, that's a bear. I see bear virtually every week here in Mecklenburg County, Lindbergh County, or bobcat, chipmunk, any of those things. You go across the bridge in Clarksville, you have the osprey. We have a great county full of wildlife. The question is whether or not we need to import additional wildlife in this county that we currently do not have. As I spoke to one of the landowners adjacent to this place, he said, Dale, I just don't want it. So I stand with the people, and I think that Mecklenburg County, as beautiful as we are, we have enough wildlife. Thank you.
Marty Champion.
Good morning. My name is Marty Champion. I live on Sullivan Road in the Finchley community, and I'm here this morning in opposition to zoos being allowed in Mecklenburg County. Start with, since all this has been going on since December, I met Nick and Molly. They're good people. Nothing against their character, nothing against them personally. We've been on opposite sides of the fence for a while, but we still shake hands, we still talk. So nothing against them personally here. But what I'm here to say is several residents have contacted me about our county zoning office not being fair on how information is being released to the opposition side. I'm sure, Mr. Brinkley, you wondered why after receiving such strong opposition from your constituents, I lost my place here. why at the May Planning Commission meeting, only 2 people showed up against the ordinance to allow zoos to operate in Mecklenburg County. A vote as important as this should have had all Planning Commission members present, especially Mr. Crump and Mr. Ramey, representatives for the District 8, which is a location that this facility wants to locate in. Yes, sir, respectfully speaking, you led the charge to get this on to the Board of Supervisors for their approval, and now here we are. I followed the newspaper articles, and back in March of this year, Susan Kite with Mecklenburg Sun released an article on Lakeshore Wilderness Retreats County. An article stated that the couple had over 30 years of experience in zoo and animal park operations, animal habitat development, and wild animal vet care. Just recently, the July 3rd edition of the Mecklenburg Sun, a well-written letter from Mr. and Ms. Waller in the viewpoint section of the newspaper reported over 40 years of combined experience. This is just one small example of the concerns that Mecklenburg County citizens have raised to me. And why would their letter include the phrase, the first rule is that if you're confronted by an escaped animal, is to protect yourself, family, and property by whatever means necessary, and that the zoo would have a multi-million-dollar insurance policy. I can't believe that we're still discussing these things. Multi-million-dollar insurance policy will only protect the business. It's not going to protect the citizens. Someone please tell me how that money is going to help a grieving family. And two, what is going to be Mecklenburg County's contingency plan for something like this? This just doesn't protect its citizens. There are too many what ifs and not enough guarantees other than, hey, carry a firearm to protect your family on your own property, or collect some insurance money to bury your loved ones if, God forbid, a large exotic got out in this community.
Marty, I'm gonna have to stop you there.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Tammy Mulca. I live in Clarksville, Virginia. I wear a lot of hats, but today I'm here as a small business owner of 40 years. Here as a grandmother and a former member of town council in Clarksville. In Clarksville, when I got on town council, my main objective was to have an economic development and someone who worked on nothing but tourism for the town. My daughter owns the Cottage Barn, and a former employee owns Rooted, the coffee shop in Clarksville. Everybody loves to go to these small businesses, but what they don't understand is without tourism, they would not exist. In fact, both owners of those companies have full-time jobs outside of owning those small businesses that provide the services that everybody wants. They want to see the small businesses open. They want to have restaurants to go to. But without tourism in Clarksville, they would not exist, I'm sorry to say, to the citizens of this area. Mecklenburg County needs every opportunity it can to bring year-round tourism to the area. And this is what a zoological facility would provide. As a grandmother, just a couple of months ago, I loaded up a bus with my first grade grandchild and went to Richmond to a zoo. Were we afraid? No, we were not. Did I pass a school and could see the school from the zoo? Yes, I could. Passed a church, turned by the church to the entrance of the zoo. Did I see churchgoers afraid? No, I did not. It's a lot of misinformation. I know that people have not gone and talked personally to the people that are proposing to open this zoo. You need to be informed. We don't need to be in fear. We need information, not fear. I've spoke to people that live around the zoo in the Richmond area. They are not afraid of the zoo. It's been there for years. It's on the same size facility we're talking about in Mecklenburg County, not that we're talking about that facility today. I just want to say, if you want things in Mecklenburg County, you have to be forward thinking. We don't need to shut down opportunities for the future just because of a little fear. And yes, I would live next to the zoo, as some people have asked me. I would plant my house right beside it because I want things for my children. I don't want to load up my children and go to another state or another town. I want to be able to bring people here. Why can't we have people come to Mecklenburg County for opportunities we're loading up our kids in school buses and going to other towns for? Thank you.
Donna Talbert.
Good morning. I'm Donna Talbot. I live at 72 Career Store Road, which is almost directly across from the proposed site of the zoo. I'm in opposition of the proposed ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance to allow for a zoological park in Mecklenburg County. I read the recent article in the newspaper from Molly and Rick, and there were a few points that did cause me some concern. They stated that their proposed site is surrounded by hundreds of acres with no adjoining parcels having homes. Gene Chandler, who lives here in our county, owns 300 plus acres of that property that surrounds this proposed site. He has a home and he lives on that property. Across 58 is New Liberty Baptist Church, their cemetery, numerous homes, I won't list them all, including my own. All of these hundreds of acres are owned by other people and not them. It should not be their boundary. They speak of having a multi-million-dollar insurance policy if something happens. I'm not going to go on and on about that. I think Marty already covered that. A multi-million-dollar insurance policy is not going to bring someone back. Moving on, Mecklenburg County has been a rural county all of my life. We have allowed Microsoft to take over solar farms. If we allow a zoo, what will be next? How will this proposed zoo affect our property taxes? Not sure on that one. At the last board meeting, Karen Coon stated that in addition to our lake, the zoo would be another attraction for people to enjoy. How about a putt-putt course, an arcade, something like that instead of a zoo? With a larger established zoo only a few hours away, I don't feel we need a zoo in our county, certainly not on a major highway like 58. As I stated at the previous board meeting, sirens go up and down Highway 58 all day long, which will keep animals constantly uneasy at this proposed site. Also, if an animal escaped, we do not have enough animal control personnel in our county to handle a situation like that. I'm not sure what local emergency response teams they are referring to in the newspaper article. The zoo would not be open 12 months out of the year. I'm really not sure how much revenue this will bring into our county. The locals may only go a few times, and how many people will come on a regular basis to sustain in our county? Nowhere in our county would anyone want this facility in their backyard. You can Google and find also where numerous animals have escaped and injured and killed people while inside zoos. The Richmond Zoo actually has, I think, 160 acres. If we want to get technical, that keeps getting brought up.
Have to stop you now.
I'm sorry. I do hope y'all will vote no on this. Thank you.
Rick Buchanan.
Good morning, board members. My name is Rick Buchanan. I live in Clarksville, Virginia, and I also serve on the town council in Clarksville. We had Molly and Nick present their program to the town council at one of our monthly business meetings, and they answered some very tough questions from one of our members regarding safety concerns of the animals proposed to be on their site. Their answers were straightforward and certainly led me to understand how seriously they took the safety of their neighbors and their livestock. Their plan showed not one, not two, but 3 levels of containment, all conforming to rigorous government standards and inspections. The other facet of the plan they revealed to us was a plan that fits right into the plans we have in Clarksville. We have become, for one thing, a town that is seeking tourism, as Tammy said, since the lake is a major draw for summer vacationers. Our businesses are built around the flow of summer vacationers through our town. Of course, that is mostly summer traffic, and the facility Molly and Nick are proposing is a year-round draw. In fact, the overwhelming majority of businesses in Clarksville have already agreed to a business partnership with them. And finally, I believe the Board of Supervisors, like the town of Clarksville, is looking to expand business opportunities other than what Microsoft is doing. We all know that Microsoft, after construction is complete, will not be a major employer in the county, and other businesses are being sought to keep our economy strong. The facilities such as a zoological facility plans would employ nearly 100 individuals when they are fully operational. Not only will they be employing people from the area, which we need, but they will also be bringing in specialists to supplement their professional staff. This too will be a benefit to our housing industry, both the home and home ownership and in rentals. This is exactly the kind of new business that Mecklenburg needs, and I hope that you will see your way to assisting them in their efforts to bring their business and their expertise to our county by adding the ordinance that will allow the zoological facility. Thank you.
Chairman, that's all I have still signed up.
That's all? Okay, at this time, we will close the public hearing on the text amendment to the ordinance on the zoological park. What are the wishes of the board?
I just point out that there were 3 resolutions prepared for the board. And I would encourage you to adopt one of those 3 because it set forth the reasons for your decision, be it for or against.
Okay. Any discussion on that?
Mr. Chairman, I just like to make a few comments here on this. It's one of the speakers said, you know, we've been talking kind of on this subject since December. And when this, and I know we're talking about only the zoning ordinance, but when the applicant brought their application the first time as representative my area, I told them that I would have to deny it because of the people that was in my district and didn't want it. At the planning commission, when we talked about the zoning ordinance, of course, once the planning commission denies it, it's over with. We don't get it back to the board. But I felt like the zoning ordinance needed to be heard by the board was one of the reasons I approved that. And so, you know, we continue to go forward and, you know, the applicant, and like I said, again, I know we're not talking about the applicant. I know Molly and Rick, you know, I would have to commend you. You've done everything that you could possibly do, I think, to try to convince people. But as we talked before many times, one of the things I think I said was, you don't so much have to convince me, but you got to convince those people that live over there. Those, and like I said, when I come on the board 12, 13 years ago, one of the things I said, I would never bring my agenda. I would do everything in my power to represent you over there. And whether I agree or disagree, and, you know, like one said, you know, I wouldn't have no problem at all with this thing being by my house, but it's probably not one going to be by my house, probably not going to be a Walmart either. They're not going over in the middle of the country and build something like that. I mean, that's the way it is. So I just wanted to make those comments, sir.
Okay. Anyone else? Well, we need a motion to add it, deny it, or defer it.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we defer.
Okay. Any discussion on that motion? All in favor of that motion's let's do a roll call. Jenny.
So this would be to defer. Ms. Blackwell? Mr. Brinkley?
Yes.
Mr. Tanner?
Yes.
Mr. Gravitt?
Yes.
Mr. Spence?
Yes.
Ms. Lundy.
Yes.
Mr. Wilkinson?
Yes.
Mr. Hargrove?
Yes.
Mr. Jennings?
No.
So the vote passed to adopt the resolution to defer the application.
Okay. So we defer the application. I mean, the text amendment to the ordinance. All right. I will give the people that were here representing the who wanted to speak in a public hearing about the zoological ordinance. I'll give you a few minutes to leave. We've got another public hearing starting. You're welcome to stay, but if you'd like to leave, that would be fine.
I don't know. I mean, that's a good question. When you brought that up, we're gonna bring it up again next month. I mean, go through this again next year. Which we wouldn't have to have a public hearing.
Again,
Yeah, well, they can get it in one way or the other. Everybody get tired of coming.
Mhm. 1 hour.
I'm not to the point of just denying. Need more time for me to do my research. Especially now, we've had 6 months. Today we heard more comments for it than we did against it compared to.
You can't know anymore. You know, like what I know.
I try to.
I mean, I hated to be the lone vote. I don't. It may not be.
I know it's kicking the can down the road.
It's come back. What did the now read? But it gives us time to think more about it.
This is Alex and them fault because they give us too many
I
options.
think we're still in the.
You give us too many options.
But we're not gonna know most of them.
So much attention being brought to it. It's being put in the paper.
I don't think they easy to make a motion unless it's.
Yeah,
I agree.
I started to make a motion.
And I started to too, but
All right, if I can get everybody's attention focused back on the meeting. Mr. Hendrick, you own the next
Yes, sir.
siting agreement for the Finneywood Solar Power Plant.
Yes, sir. Staff have been working on this for quite some time, and I think you all have a copy. And from my understanding, is kind of all the answers have been questioned. I mean, all questions have been answered about the siting agreement in reference to the Chase City issue. So it is up for a public hearing to either accept the siting agreement, defer it, or deny it.
Okay. I would like to remind everybody before I open the public hearing that Alex.
I just want to add one
Sure.
point before we go into the public hearing. The siting agreement, if enacted today, or if denied, or if deferred, would not constitute final resolution on the project itself, much like how we're making the distinction on the previous topic. The siting agreement governs the capital payments that might be made to the county as part of this per the Code of Virginia. It governs the agreed upon conditions for siting the facility, but it does not grant project approval. So regardless of the outcome of this vote, the potential is there for the project to go before the Planning Commission at a future date and time. If this is enacted, then the siting agreement would govern that application for a special exemption permit. If it does not, then the Planning Commission would have complete discretion to set conditions on the facility, but we would not be entitled to the capital payments from a county perspective. Additionally, the actual permit application would have to be considered by both the Planning Commission and then this board to either approve or deny that project at that specific time, which is probably forecast at about the September meeting, regardless of the resolution of this particular agreement today.
Okay. Before I open the public hearing, would like to remind everybody, you've got 3 minutes. Please be mindful, no applause, anything. I'm not going to read this whole thing again, but I think everyone in here heard it the first time. So that being said, I will open the public hearing on the siting agreement for the Finneywood Solar Project. Jenny?
Anyone want to speak first?
Thank you all very much. My name is Eric Fritz. I am manager of one of the generation development groups at Dominion Energy, Virginia, and I appreciate you all giving me time to speak to you today about the Finneywood Solar siting agreement. I'm sure most folks are familiar with Dominion Energy. The one thing I will highlight is that the project that is the subject of the siting agreement will go to serve the 2.5 million customers that we have in Virginia, which includes the 11,000 that we serve here in Mecklenburg County. I'll touch briefly on the project, and we'll have more details if it proceeds to the use permit hearings that Mr. Koschak described. But the project's located between Fort Mitchell Road and Highway 49 in the northwestern portion of the county. If constructed, it will be up to 98 megawatts AC. And the parcel acreage that we have is 1,000 acres, but of that 1,000 acres that we have under control in the project, only 493 of those acres will be disturbed for the project. The rest will be left in perpetuity undisturbed. The project will bring several economic benefits to the county, one of which is the siting agreement, but others include indirect and direct jobs that will be provided during the construction period. So as both direct construction jobs as well as indirect jobs that will be induced as part of the development of the project. Increased real estate tax revenue on the land, the underlying land that supports the project. The revenue share, which is $1,400 a megawatt that will pay on an annual basis and increases over time. And then the last of those pillars of the economic benefits of the county is the siting agreement, which we're discussing today. The siting agreement is something that's allowed by statute to be negotiated between a developer of a solar project and the county to allow for capital payments to be made. And as discussed, the capital payments for the siting agreement have been negotiated with the county. The payments are $25,000 per megawatt, so they'll be based on the final nameplate capacity, plus a one-time payment of $700,000 that'll be made as part of this siting agreement. The payments are divided up into 5 milestone payments. The first is that economic development payment of $700,000. Which will be made shortly after the approval of the CUP if it is approved. The 1-year anniversary payment from the approval of the siting agreement, which will be 2.5% times the $25,000, and then the remaining payments will be made when the CPCN is approved, the stormwater control permit is approved, and it's COD, which is roughly a third less that anniversary payment at each one of those milestones. I'll keep my comments brief today. I'm here if you all have any questions, but I appreciate the time today to speak to you all about the siting agreement and ask that you approve the agreement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brothers?
Good morning. I do have paper copies of our petition for each one of you. I'll give you that when I'm finished. I'm Judy Brothers. I'm president of Friends of the Meharon River. I'm also living in the area of the Finneywood project. I want to thank you all for everything you do. And I know this is not an easy job, especially with all the solar issues that we have in the county. And I've shared that update letter with you all via email. So you'll get that. And I spent a lot of time talking with my neighbors this weekend. We did the petition, which you all have, spoke with many of them, and they have to work. So a lot of them could not be here today. So what I did is I got a partial list of everybody that couldn't be here that really wanted to be here. So we have Ronald Johnson, Derek Pulliam, Jason DiCarlo, Melvina Wright, Ashley Pulliam, Gary DeSantis, Tiffany Hatcher, Valerie Sadowski, Stacy Pulliam, Crystal Dow, Larry Jones, Brandon Estes, and there were more I could contact. That was as far as I could get. So they wanted to be here to oppose the Finneywood Solar, but they have to work. they have to put food on the table, and things are not cheap nowadays. So they can't lose their job and they can't be here, but they wanted me to convey to you all that they would like for their names on this petition to be recognized. I spoke with a neighbor of mine named Joe. I spoke to him 4 years ago about this issue of all the solar and why it's coming in our area. And he's an older, very smart man. And he told me, he said, they're coming in here because we're black. And I said, Joe, what are you saying? Really? And we spoke, and I speak to him often. You know, I spoke to him on Friday, and I had to tell him, I'm sorry to say, Joe, but you were right. Because we have found that Dominion has in their criteria for the Finneywood project, they have stated, quote, that this area is mostly Black/AA African American, quoted from Dominion, and low income. Thus, people can't be here. They're working. So this is why we're being targeted for solar. These folks do not have the wherewithal to continue to come in here and fight this battle. Now, I have been here, I'm self-employed, and I'm able to do that, so I'm lucky in that nature. So they're struggling, and they just want to know that you all are going to recognize this petition, please, that they could not be here. So we thank you for that, and we hope for a no vote on Finneywood.
George Toombs.
Thank you. I'm from Sachs, Virginia. I'm just across the Charlotte County line. And I've been an opponent of solar and the lies that keep coming with it. Mecklenburg County has 3 sites that are approved and supposed to be functioning here. And these sites, the county, let me get it here. The county had it written that the use of any of the following materials is expressly prohibited: cadmium telluride, Gen X, field applied Teflon coating, and other materials prohibited by federal and state agencies. And I aided in and helped expose the storage, the unsanctioned storage in Charlotte County of some panels. And these panels are also going in landfills here in Virginia that aren't even, they're not licensed for it. They have no, to my knowledge, there is no proper disposal for any of these panels. And also, I'm hearing from some of the workers and the construction workers that they're being told not to keep but so many panels in any one truck or only put so many panels on a dumpster. It seems to me that they're gaming the system and that they are trying to fly under a toxicity level wire. It's what it apparently is looking like to me. I've had board members from Charlotte County tell me they're going to get to the bottom of it, and crickets. I mean, anytime, and people keep telling us you got to come up with proof, and you come up with proof and you get crickets. It's just like once you finally expose something, it's just ignore it until the pests go away. And it's all about the dollar, all about the money. I don't know what we can say to any of our leaders to get them to wake up and acknowledge that the companies are even admitting now that they got cadmium telluride and toxicity in the panels. But I guess now that if we get them to switch from Chinese cadmium telluride panels to American-made cadmium telluride panels, it makes it better somehow. I wish somebody would look out for the people, and I'm just begging you here. I don't know what to say.
Lori Beaver.
Hi, I'm back again. I'm Lori Huber. Ross Huber and I live on Highway 58 in Boydton. We are here to urge the Board of Supervisors to approve the special exception permit for the Finneywood Solar project this morning. The county has capped the amount of utility scale soil that it will allow to be developed here. The Finneywood project was included in that capped amount and should move forward. Approval of the special exemption permit will benefit the county, the landowners, and solar developers. In addition to the obvious benefit for all of us, specifically clean, quiet, abundant energy, revenues will give the county and landowners a boost. There are some in the county that have objected to solar development, primarily due to concerns over noise and disruption during construction, the changes in the visual landscape, and sediment and erosion control during construction and afterward due to the presence of the large solar panels. Since the projects that the county has recognized under the cap will generate a large amount of power and revenues, we urge the county to dedicate a portion of the revenues to ensure and enforce reasonable steps are taken to, 1, minimize the impact to neighboring properties during construction, 2, maximize buffers and cultivation of natural barriers, 3, plant and manage things that will attract pollinators or food crops or the correct types of grasses and plants that are enjoyed by grazing animals. And finally, enforce a robust sediment and erosion control plan that addresses both construction and operations. We urge the county to move forward with the important business of generating a much-needed energy supply and to secure the revenues these projects generate for our community. And just in response to a previous comment, there's a policy area. I don't think it's a law yet, but it's EPA and actually DOD related to something called environmental justice. It's saying that you have to consider the minority populations and the low-income populations before you construct something. So the reference before of solar farms coming here because of minority and poor populations, it's the reverse. Environmental justice says you have to consider that land might be cheaper in a location where that's the demographic, and you can't just gravitate towards that. So it's the reverse of the impression that was given earlier.
Alvin Farringer.
Good morning, Board. Alden Farringer, Chase City, Virginia, and the mayor there. First off, wanted to thank every one of you for being partners with us in kind of our difficulties, in initially dealing with Dominion. But I wanted to say today that those issues that we have been resolved to our satisfaction. Can't thank you guys enough for your support, and it's deeply felt. But today we are no longer standing in the way. We're not holding things up. But we do thank you very much for the time that your support afforded us to be able to work these things out with Dominion. So again, thank you very much. And we're no longer in opposition or holding things up. Thank you very much.
Has everybody signed up?
Is that everybody? Okay. At this time, I will close the public hearing. Any discussion from the board? What are the wishes?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the siting agreement, as this project is not, approving this is not approving the project. It's just approving the baselines on what the project can be built on. The only thing I will say that if down the road we do approve this project, I would like to see the county work with the Chase City area that some of this siting agreement money would go back to projects in that area, because I feel that area has been affected the most by the solar development in the county. And I think if it's going to be used, that it needs to be used in the area most affected.
Okay. All right. You've heard the motion that we approve the siting agreement. Jenny, you want to do a roll call?
So this vote is to adopt the resolution approving the siting agreement.
That is correct.
Ms. Flores?
No.
Mr. Brinkley?
No.
Mr. Tanner?
Yes.
Mr. Gravitt?
No.
Mr. Spence?
No.
Ms. Lundy,
No.
Mr. Wilkinson,
Yes.
Mr. Hargrove,
No.
Mr. Jennings,
No.
7-2.
7-2, the motion fails. Alex, you have some comments?
No, I would just say, you know, you have an opportunity to make a different motion at this point, if you so choose to pursue that. If not, then, like I said earlier, they are able to make the application to the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission would consider the specific project just absent any of these terms. But if you wanted to make another motion for disposition of this agreement, you certainly are able to do that at this time.
Okay. Y'all heard what Alex said. Anyone wanting to do that? I have comments about that.
So the only thing I'll ask is if it moves forward through the planning commission and it's approved, there's no defined monetary compensation tied to it.
That is, if Russell wants to weigh in, he can, but my understanding is we do not have the ability to, well, let me say that. There is no ability to obtain the capital payment, which is the amount, the large amount per megawatt. We would still have the general rules of taxation available.
Right.
So the real estate and the $1,400 megawatt revenue share. But Russell, would you like to
Yeah, I
weigh
think
in?
you've got it. There are, in this agreement, there are provisions for capital payments, and then the $700,000 payment, which is indirectly and fully intended to benefit Shea State. Those two benefits would not be available. As Alex said, the revenue shares by state code, and that is available. So if you approve the special exception application and do not have the siting agreement, you will not receive the benefits of those two revenue streams.
That explains it. I just wanted to clarify that because I wanted to make sure that we're, from this point, it would be crazy for us to approve it, in my opinion, because we have no financial gain other than the normal taxation approved to.
Revenue share and increased real estate taxes, are very real benefits.
Sure,
I
sure.
think I ran the revenue share, and that is something like $4,200,000 over the life of the project.
Sure.
Plus every 5 years, there's a 10% increase. I'm not disagreeing with you, Mr. Taylor.
Right.
I'm just pointing out that you have, with what the action you've taken, you have given up the opportunity to get some income stream, but there's others you will still get.
That's all I wanted to clarify.
So if we just, Russell, we just voted against Mr. Tanner's motion, we don't need to make another motion to reject it, do we? We just did that.
No, it's
Yeah.
dead.
Okay. Okay. Next on our agenda, the draft construction traffic management plan. Mr. Towner.
Good morning, Chairman and the board. This morning I'll be presenting a new.
And I will, one second, I will give some of the people on the last public hearing time to leave. I'm sorry. All right, Josh.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and the board. This morning I'll be presenting a new proposed draft for our zoning ordinance, a construction traffic maintenance plan. VDOT, Mr. Gottschalk and I have been working on this for several weeks now, and we think this would be a great thing for the county of Mecklenburg. And I'd like to thank Mr. Gottschalk for giving me the opportunity to speak today. This is going to be in Article 6 Business District B1, Section 66, Article 7 Industrial District M1, Section 76. For all developmental activities in this district that are cited on the parcel size 15 acres or greater or conjunction to the parcels that together exceed 15 acres for the CTMP is required. The CTMP is designated to mitigate the significant deterioration of the secondary road systems in Mecklenburg County that are caused by such activity and the fact that the county, as a result of enhanced volume of frequency, large tonnage traffic,
related to the development of large scale of the business industrial sites of the county. All routes used to transport goods, supplies, and other construction materials are the movement of debris, spoils, and other land clearing activities, inclusive logging, timbering, and deforestation, or to the commercial construction site as shall be identified and transmitted to review of the county. Such routes identified by both primary intended to be used as such travel as well as the alternative routes to be used. The county may deny any routes selected by the applicant or place the conditions upon the use. Further, the county shall reserve the right to revoke the ability for certain routes and conditions and warrant the joint review from VDOT and the county. The Planning Commission's consideration of the rezoning conditional use special exception or special use permit as the routes will be included in the conditions attached to the permit approval. Prior to the submission, the applicant shall conduct an investigation of the subsurface conditions of any routes identified through a paragraph to determine the particular secondary roadbed sufficient to handle the weight and frequency of the forecasted construction traffic. Prior to any coring, the owner will have to obtain a VDOT land use permit. The applicant shall document and photograph and video the methods of the deemed acceptable to the county and VDOT and the existing service of the conditions of the secondary roads intended for the haul route plan. As part of the conditions that shall be imposed and approved, applications for the rezoning special exception permit, conditional use permit, and the applicant shall concur to restore any damaged roadway and attributable to the construction of the site back to the condition of the existing prior to the application as documented through the paragraph B and the application's description of better standards. This specific plan of restoration shall be approved by VDOT and included in the approval conditions for the project. Any post-construction restoration shall be completed within 60 days after the issuance of the temporary certificate to the occupancy for the last building site of the Mecklenburg County Building Inspector's Office. The applicant shall work with the county and VDOT to develop a scope to work in the suitable improvement of the road. This scope may be provided by the third-party consultant. Road improvements may be paid for entirely through the private contributions and may be funded in the partnership of Mecklenburg County as a part of the county application for a competitive roadway funding program. Included but not in the revenue sharing, but such in cases, the applicant shall provide a whole local match for such programs. No land disturbance aside of the study, sampling, and the construction activities for the development shall commence until any road improvements called by the section of the implemented. Site entrance. All entrances to the primary and supporting site identified as part of the application should be stabilized with gravel, asphalt, concrete to minimize dust, mud, and other impacts to the visual conditions of the road and other properties and sediment runoff. This is going to be on parking. No employees, workers, or traffic shall be allowed to park on the public roadway or within the VDOT right-of-way adjacent to the construction site. Spoil and bar sites. All this off-site spoil development shall obtain a special exception permit. This permit must be obtained before any plan review by the Mecklenburg County Erosion Sediment Control with Stormwater Plan. No construction shall commence until all plans have been approved and obtained a LDP, a land disturbance permit from Mecklenburg County. All right, what is a spoil site? The definition for our ordinance: location of any off-site development where end haul materials deposited. This location may be a storage for materials for future use in the construction road section of wasting for unsuitable materials. Special exception permit ordinance. Any districts that soil and bar sites may be developed is only agricultural business B1, industrial M1. Special exception permit. All off-site development shall obtain a special exception permit with any acreage project. This permit must be obtained before any plan reviewed by Mecklenburg County Erosion Sediment Control. Construction entrance definition: a stabilized pad of stone underlain with the geotextile and is used to reduce the amount of mud tracked off-site with construction traffic and vehicular ingress and egress with the construction site. I'm just going to read, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to read two of them because B1 is different from M1 agricultural and agricultural low density. So the area requirement for B1, all construction interests on the projects that are over 5 acres must obtain a special exception permit for any type of entrance. Class 3 gravel, asphalt millings, or concrete Withholding a special exception permit, you must minimize a 25-foot of coverage to the entrance. Under DEQ minimum standard, and all entrance will have a wheel washing station before the egress of the site. Then we're going to go down to the area requirements for M1. The construction interest must obtain the special exception permit with any acreage project, class 3 gravel, asphalt, millings, or concrete, withholding a special exemption permit and have a 75-foot coverage of the entrance under DEQ minimum standard, and all entrances must have a wheel washing station before the egress of the site. Like I said, agricultural low density and agriculture is going to fall under the same circumstances as M1. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Alex?
So at this point, although we've worked with VDOT to come up with comprehensive language suitable to both of us, this is not the final version. We still have legal review to have to do with it, and we still are going to go through the public process. The forecasted timeframe at this point would be to bring this similar presentation to the Planning Commission for their review here at the July meeting later this month, and then have them schedule the normal public hearing, and then from that have the Planning Commission do the Planning Commission review process, approval process, recommend the ordinance back to the board, and then the board will have the public hearing at our level. At any time, you know, Planning Commission and the board can make an amendment, suggest amendments, you know, take this, we're giving it out, we're trying to put it out early enough so that everyone has ample review opportunity and can make any suggestions and amendments as we go along to strengthen this. But as mentioned last month, the ultimate ambit of this particular legislation would be to learn from our previous experiences here with large-scale commercial industrial development in the county, and to, on the front end, take care of some of the things that we have seen and witnessed so that we don't run into those conditions on future applications. If we have applications in the interim time, we can use some of this, the intent of some of this language, to put it on those conditions. But after this ordinance is ultimately adopted, should it be so adopted, then every single large scale, as mentioned, over 15 acres of commercial site activity would have to meet these requirements in order for the application to be granted.
Okay. So the next process is to the Planning Commission.
Yes, the Planning Commission will have to vote to hold the public hearing on this ordinance amendment.
So it would be August before we
It would be
see this again on September.
It would be September.
September. Okay.
Alex, I assume we will be applying for, I lost the word, for revenue sharing on some of these projects potentially for the state. So would we be would the applicant apply with us?
So
we
we
do that, or would the county be?
The county has to be the applicant
Right.
pursuant to the revenue sharing policy. The way the language currently reads is that if the developer would like us to be the applicant, they have to provide the entire local match.
Right, okay.
All right. So that's all. Anybody else have any questions on that anymore? Okay. Kevin?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
All right, y'all got our monthly update in your board package. A few things I wanted to go over. First round of mowing on secondary roads are scheduled to be completed this week, countywide. We're looking at starting the second round of primary mowing here in the next couple of weeks. So you'll see us out on 1592s and 58 mowing. Got several projects that are kicking off in the month of July. Probably one of the bigger ones is the bridge approach paving on Route 58. We've got 11 locations out there where they're going to start smoothing up those bridge approaches. We're also going to start the site distance improvement job near Ivy Hill Convenience Center this month and get that taken care of. And we've got a signage upgrade on exit 12 that's scheduled for the month of July. And also you should be seeing Route 58 58 mile markers being installed this month. With that said, month of August, we're looking at kicking off All Goods Lane and Dry Creek and get those completed up by the fall of the year. Y'all, that's all I've got unless you got any questions.
Any questions?
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Smith. Matter of fact, I went through there this morning. I have a piece of equipment sitting out there. So I'm assuming they're probably going to get that completed this week.
Yes, sir. We got you.
I was just going to ask you, I know I'd seen a thing in the paper and I mentioned it to Mr. Gottschalk, where y'all are getting ready to do some upgrades to the Coleman Creek Bridge down here coming into town. And I just want to make sure that y'all reach out to the fire department and the sheriff's department, because if the bridge is closed, they're going to be on a dead end street as far as response. I know it's still in the future a little ways, but.
Yes, sir. We will be reaching out. That's a bridge bundle. It's 5 bridges going out on bid. They won't go out to bid till 2025. Construction ain't to 2026. And
y'all might run out of money, buddy.
I may be retired before they get to that bridge. So we're probably looking at 26, 27, year 26, 27.
Thank you.
But we'll keep them EMS and stuff posted.
Thank you.
All right.
Very good. Thank you, Kevin.
Yes, sir. Question. Thank you guys for what you do. First of all, observation on the highways and roads with as far as the runoff, especially when we have, right now we don't have a lot of rain, but those times that we do get a lot of rainfall. Is there anybody in particular that monitors the highways and whatnot, like during a rainstorm, when you get that pooling of water? And I mention this because there's key areas that I know about that for years has gathered, pooling water. And from a construction standpoint, part of the problem appears to be that the area does not get graded, or the motor grader doesn't come along and skim the grass off of that area or what have you. It just kind of builds up on the side of the highway, and then the water has nowhere to escape to, or can't make its way to the drain. So is there something in place that where people monitor that kind of thing and monitor? I know you monitor the drains because you have to go where sometimes they clear the drains. Yes, sir. Our area supervisors and superintendents, they should be monitoring the roadways and make corrective actions. I think a lot of what you're talking about is probably high shoulders and stuff that's out on the road. If you're talking about specific location, I know we've got some spots identified between South Hill and Broadnax that needs to be trimmed off. And we do have ponding issues and stuff, and they're on our radar to get them taken care of. But if you've got something else that's not between South Hill and Broadnax, please let me know and we'll take a look at it.
And I would think the citizens as well. I would think that they bring comments to you about observations like this.
Yes, sir, they do. We get work orders and stuff called in, so we address stuff that way as well.
Good job. Thank you.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Move along. Public comment. Any? No public comment? Okay. Next, we've got Taylor Clark.
Good morning. Taylor Clark, Agriculture Extension Agent here in Mecklenburg County. Mr. Chairman asked me to kind of give an update on the effect that fire nutrient may have on ag producers in the county coming up in the next few weeks, months, maybe a year or two to figure out new facility and that kind of thing. I was able to talk to Austin Tyler this morning. They have a plan to continue to try to serve their customers as well as they can. I think their office staff has been set up here in Boyton and the offices that Nutrien had here. So they're going to work remotely to with billing and invoicing and ordering new product. They have taken in some shipments of replacement products to the seed plant, which is directly across from the warehouse there that was destroyed this weekend. I think the biggest inconvenience, I know, you know, this morning I had plans of going by there and picking up something that I'd run short of there on the farm over the holiday. So it's going to take them a few days to build the inventory back. Some of the inventory that they had on special use type things, probably producers will have to wait for them to be able to get those type products in, stuff that, and that maybe not it is the main things that folks are using now. I'm sure they are bringing in the crop protectants and all that they need for this time of year, but if it's some kind of special use type thing, it may take a little longer. Tyler conveyed this morning that he had to go to the Dollar General and buy him some notebooks and pencils and stuff. They didn't, you know, didn't even have anything to write a note on or a ticket, and they're trying to figure out how to communicate back and forth with the girls in Boyton to do the invoicing and handle calls. I think in the short term, what they are planning is to work out of the seed plant there. Not the ideal thing from a customer type thing. They didn't have that building set up with internet or anything for that. So they are proceeding to get that done so they can move the office staff back there to be more of a customer friendly situation until a new site for a warehouse can be identified. Any other questions, Jim?
I think it's good. I think you covered a lot. It certainly was a huge tragedy for a lot involved, especially them. But it's you know, it was amazing how this community came together, and these emergency services people and firefighters and everybody that came together to.
It's amazing that they were able to contain it just to that building.
Yep, it is. It is.
With everything. And from an equipment standpoint, they didn't lose any application equipment. Couple forklifts in the building is what Tyler conveyed to me. And probably the biggest loss from an equipment standpoint was the service truck.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they had to set up a tool truck to have the equipment and stuff on for repairs and all.
Mm-hmm.
Kept it in the building, thought that was the best place to keep it from a theft standpoint, and said he didn't even have a wrench or a hammer this morning to beat on anything besides what was in his personal truck, you know, to start trying to rearrange the seed plan and get ready for deliveries and that kind of thing come in.
Anybody else?
Well, like I said, I think just like its community, the way they help and stuff, the Neutron family, their surrounding locations are very much the same. They will pitch in and help and everywhere. Like I say, I think the main things that you need to continue to farm and do the things that's necessary, I think you'll have that. If you need a gallon of oil to spray on the apple tree, you may have to wait on that one and stuff. So, you know, so the main things will be there.
I think that's the big thing. I think the stuff that farmers are looking for now for crop protections, for tobacco season, for sucker control and stuff, they are replacing that. We'll have that there, you know, for those needs. Products, crop protections for soybeans or whatever that are in that production part of it for the over-the-top sprays, they'll be able to replenish that.
Okay. Well, we thank you, Taylor, and for that. Yeah, Alex, you have anything?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. So on Saturday night, given all that occurred and all that we didn't know, I invoked a declaration of local emergency pursuant to section 44-146.21 of the Code of Virginia. That declaration needs to be confirmed at by the Board of Supervisors, or the parlance of the Code of Virginia, the local governing body, at the next regular scheduled meeting, which happens to be here. So we will need a motion pursuant to that code section, paragraph A, to confirm that the local emergency is declared. And I would suggest that it remain in effect at least until our next meeting. We can revisit it. But since there's still, although the fire itself is out, there's still so much uncertainty regarding the after effects. And there still needs to be the many conversations to come with the officials from the Commonwealth of Virginia regarding potential reimbursement of goods, equipment lost by the emergency service departments, that it's beneficial to have the emergency remain in place until those conversations can be held.
Okay. All right, we'll entertain a motion to declare this declaration.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we confirm the declaration that has been submitted and be to use it to our next meeting.
Okay. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Alex. Taylor, thanks. Mr. Hargrove, I believe you up next.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Emergency Service Committee met on Wednesday, June the 26th, 2024 at 6 p.m. in the Board of Supervisors meeting room in Boydton, Virginia. Members present, Andy Hargrove, Tom Tanner, Brenda Blackwell, Kirk Rabbit. Other members was Ben Duncan, Brent Evans, Chris Whitmore, John Taylor, Debbie Osborne, Sean Barnes, Alice Goschak, County Administrator, and Judy Whitmore, Clerk. The chairman called the meeting to order. Mr. Gill of Intros Design presented the committee with the final report on the Mecklenburg County Public Safety Facility Needs Assessment. The purpose of this public safety facility needs assessment was to evaluate the conditions of the existing facilities, evaluate department needs, and recommend renovation, expansions, or new facilities for the Sheriff Department, 911 Emergency Communications, and the Emergency Service Department. Mr. Chairman, if I may get permission that I may condense, because this is a long reading, and just to let the public know that in the Sheriff's Department, it was because technology has become so advanced now, and because of the building that's housing what we have cannot constitute the space that is needed so that we can adequately do an efficient functioning. The Sheriff's Department only has, and it's in your package, only has 6,500 square feet. That is in need of an additional 10,000 square feet. The Emergency Communications only have 2,000 square feet. That is in need of 8,500 square additional feet. The Emergency Services only have 500 square feet. That is in need of 8,000 square feet. And so what we want to do here is that we want to, instead of adding to these smaller projects, we thought it would be best if, as a representative of the Emergency Committee, that we build a complex to house so that we would bring all the facilities to maintain the new and modern technologies that is here that we need for the community operations. And so what we want to combine it to one building. And this building would allow all of the departments to efficiently coordinate emergency service responses, planning in a collaborative environment in modern technologies, and it would also have appropriate meeting space. This new building can be constructed on the county existing site adjacent to the existing courthouse, which all these companies that I just mentioned would be housed into one building. And we thought it would be, well, it was mentioned that it would be cost effective to have it all into one facility. And so, but upon a motion of Mr. Gravitt, the committee voted unanimously to recommend the acceptance of the Public Safety Space Needs Assessment Report. I would like to make a motion that we authorize the county to issue an RFP and to receive the report that has been given today.
Okay. Everyone has heard the motion. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. The motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Ms. Blackwell, Personnel Committee.
The Personnel Committee met on Monday, July 8, 2024 at 8:45 a.m. in the Board of Supervisors Meeting Room. Members present: Brenda Blackwell, Claudia Lundy, Sterling Wilkinson, Tom Tanner. Also present: Jim Jennings, Andy Hargrove, David Brankley, Dennis Spence, Alex Gottschalk, County Administrator, Judy Sheffield, Assistant County Administrator, Jenny Whitmore, Clerk. Upon motion of Mr. Tanner, the committee voted unanimously to convene in closed session pursuant to Virginia Code 2.2-3711A1. Supervisors Blackwell, Lundy, Wilkinson, Tanner voted aye. Upon motion of Mr. Wilkinson, the committee voted unanimously to go back into open session. Supervisors Blackwell, Lundy, Wilkinson, Tanner voted aye. Upon motion of Mr. Tanner, the committee voted to adopt the following certification resolution. Supervisors Blackwell, Lundy, Wilkinson, Tanner voted aye. Certification of closed session. Whereas the Mecklenburg County Board of Supervisors convened a closed session on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provision of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and whereas Section 2.2-3712 of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by the Mecklenburg County Board of Supervisors that such closed session was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved that the Mecklenburg County Board of Supervisors hereby certifies that, to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed in the closed session to which this certification resolution applies, and two, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed session were heard, discussed, or considered by the Mecklenburg County Board of Supervisors. Upon a motion of Mr. Wilkinson, the committee voted unanimously to recommend appointing Mr. Terry Bowen as Director of the landfill. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion for the recommendation of the committee to appoint Mr. Bowen to as the Director of the landfill.
Okay. Y'all have heard the motion. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
And the motion carries.
There being no further business, the meeting was adjourned.
Thank you, Ms. Blackwell. Alex?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The first item we have under County Administrator's Report is an amendment to the Churchill Five Forks Mutual Aid Agreement. This agreement was signed by the county and that particular volunteer fire department, which is located in Macon, North Carolina, back in 2017. They provide services to the portion of Mecklenburg County south of the lake that is difficult for in-county service providers to reach. It's about 10 minutes or so from their VFD house to some of those neighborhoods, and it would take probably about 30 minutes for either Lake Gaston or South Hill to reach those areas. So we have an agreement that allows them to provide fire services to those areas. Recent changes in the Virginia Administrative Code regarding EMS services also requires the Board of Supervisors to declare that they can serve for EMS purposes as well. And so the amendment that is proposed to make to the agreement would add in the allowance for EMS and the requisite language required to do so. So that's all that these amendments would do, would be allow anybody who's qualified to provide EMS services from Churchill Five Forks to do so in response to those particular neighborhoods on the southeast quadrant of the lake in Mecklenburg County, as if they are needed to do so.
So we need a motion in that effect.
Yes,
right?
we need a
And we
motion
got a roll
to
call vote too, right? You've got.
No, I don't believe it needs to be a roll call.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we adopt this agreement between Churchill, Five Forks, and Mecklenburg County.
Okay. Motion's been made. Y'all heard the motion. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
The second item is yet another opioid settlement resolution, and I'm going to turn that right over to Russell to talk about that.
This is part of the class action opioid suit you folks joined in quite some time ago. Over a period of time, settlements have been reached with one defendant after another. The one before you now is Kroger. There's been a settlement reached. As is typical, the amount of the settlement is large, and then by the time it trickles down to Mecklenburg,
$20.
it's not nearly so large. But you are part of this class action suit. If you vote to approve the settlement terms with Kroger, you will get your appropriate and proportionate share of the settlement. We've got at least 3 law firms representing us, and they all recommend adoption of this resolution.
Okay. Anyone like to make a motion to adopt this resolution?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion been made to adopt a resolution. In discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
The motion carries.
The third item we have relates to the continued dialogue with us in the school system about ownership of property in and around the Mecklenburg High School, middle school complex. Previously, we turned over a parcel of land that was in our name that probably should have been in the school system's name to the school system. Now, at the same time, they did a similar action in reverse to provide some parcels that they owned back to us. The school board adopted this, and now it is coming before us, and I'll let Russell, I know you worked on that, to elaborate.
First of all, Alex is correct. It was a much larger parcel. The school board needed title in the county's name. We didn't need it. And you voted to convey that back to the school board, and that has been done. What's before you today is that there were 3 very small parcels, 0.18 of an acre, 0.18 of an acre, 0.05 of an acre, total of 0.4 of an acre, that are needed for our roads to be in compliance with VDOT requirements. So this really is mandatory. The school board has taken action authorizing the conveyance of those 4 very small parcels to the county in order to get us in compliance with VDOT regulations. The law of Virginia requires that you adopt a resolution stating that you accept title to those parcels. So all that's being done today is asking you to express your acknowledgement that you accept title and ownership of those 4 parcels. So the recommendation is to adopt a resolution.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, can I make a motion?
Yes, ma'am.
I make a motion to adopt a resolution accepting the title to partials of real property being conveyed by the school board to us.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. Thank you.
And then, as always, we have the requisite staff reports in the packet for your review and comment. And that's all I have this month. Very light month for me.
That's what you're trying to shorten the meeting. That's what it is.
At least you're doing good. Yeah, we needed some shortening, didn't we? But anyway, Chairman's report. Y'all have got the Roanoke River Service Authority minutes for your review, and got the consent calendar. I hope everyone's looked at that. Entertain a motion
So
to.
moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion been made to approve the consent calendar. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. So we need to go into a closed session. Do we need to read that like we did last time, Mrs. Slade?
You want to do board member?
Yeah, you want to do board?
Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. I got ahead of myself.
He's trying to get out too.
Okay. Mr. Wilkinson?
Sure, I'll start. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't have a lot. The hot topic obviously is the fire in South Hill. It happened this weekend. And, I don't know how much can really be said about the coordination and the effort and the resources that were there as far as fire and EMS. I mean, it's the largest one I've ever been to since I've been on the fire department, probably maybe in Mecklenburg County ever. I don't know that, certainly in my tenure. But I think it was some 17 fire departments there. Some from North Carolina Resources, 2 and 3 counties away. I mean, it just says a lot about our area, our Southern Virginia area. I think that something that's overlooked sometimes. And I know that this board does all that we can to support fire and EMS, but I know we definitely should continue that way in any way that we can, because it was truly amazing to keep the structures around the outside. I mean, it's something to really go see, honestly, if you have an opportunity, how close it was to them, be able to save them. So, kudos to everyone involved, and just please keep all your nutrient family and friends in prayer and thoughts going forward, because it's definitely going to be a process. So that's all that I really had.
Ms. Blackman?
Yes. I would like to comment on the size of the citizens that came today for their input on the matters that concern them. And it's good to see people be active in what pertains to them. And I hope that it will increase, because it does help you to determine what road to take. And also, previously, it was an article in the newspaper, and I forgot to mention it the last time. The auto mechanics class at Mecklenburg. It was really wonderful to read that there are kids graduating with jobs. So, kudos to this board before I came on, and to the instructor for that class, because they have a lot of good things going on with the equipment and everything that they are learning. So it's wonderful.
All right, thank you, Mr. Graham.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As Supervisor Wilson said, just piggybacking off that fire, just such a horrendous fire, and pretty much he hit the nail on the head. I think I saw something also, I think especially with the South Hill Fire Department, where some of their equipment was maybe damaged. Are we doing all we can to make sure that there's resources or pick back up to speed to where they, and I think it was a lot of the fire, the air packs had to be sent off.
There was significant damage. And South Hill, obviously primary, but all the departments have been working since after getting back to inventory what losses they may have had. There was turnout gear that was damaged. There was air packs that are going to have to be replaced, and many of those things were recently purchased through funding that was provided from sources that the county had access to, including the federal pandemic funds, and then also just hoses, nozzles. There's a lot of equipment that has been damaged. Some of that will be replaced by warranties. Some of that will be replaced by various other coverages they have, and some of that is going to be replaced by VDEM. But we will do what we can to help the administration of replacement of those items. Some of that is going to take potentially some time to go through the state level process. But we are engaged in those conversations. That is one reason John is not here today, is he's meeting along with Michael and others with VDEM today to discuss the start of that request. So yes, we will be a participant in doing all we can to help make sure that all the gear is replaced.
And we're doing what we can also to fill that bridge, that gap, because it's sad, it's scary to say, but we could have the same event happen today in another location, God forbid, and we need to make sure we have all the available resources that we need to combat that if it did happen.
Yeah, we don't have, warehouse full of supplies on hand that the county owns, right? So we can't just go to our storage and pull it out and provide that. But as best as we can do to supplement, we will definitely take whatever actions are necessary.
Okay, good deal. Like I said, just prayers with everybody in the community. Hopefully we can get that nutrient family back on his feet as soon as possible. Also, want to mention, obviously we got Lake Fest 2 coming up, and I'm sure everybody's been coordinating, but we need to make sure also we have all the available resources if needed for that large scale event from the county's aspect. And I did sit through the presentation about the emergency services building, and I think it's going to be a really nice facility. Excited to see. Hopefully, we can get it going. From my understanding, all the agencies that are going to be involved in that building were very tickled, very happy, very pleased. So if they're happy, I'm happy. That's all. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Temp?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I'd like to take a minute to thank the landfill for employees, because I was out over the 4th of July holiday actually dumping some trash in the dumpster. And they were there dumping it on the 4th of July. So it's just saying how much they do for this county. And I know when people ride by some of these dumpsters, I wonder sometimes why they come to work on Monday, because it's more trash outside some of the dumpsters than it is in it. So I do want to thank them, and also to say that I think we as a board need to put more emphasis on trying to finish all of our convenience center sites. Figure out where they're going to be. Let's do them, because it will improve these people's jobs tremendously by doing that. And talking about the fire from over the weekend, I kind of saw a definition somewhere. It says, an ordinary person facing an extraordinary circumstances and acting with courage, honor, and self-sacrifice. I think that's exactly what we saw. Between all the emergency responders that came with us, police, fire, EMS, it takes a team to do it all. 911 center, everybody said they were right on everything. So God has definitely blessed this area with some amazing volunteers, amazing employees, and the community stepped up. I mean, they were having pallets of water dropped off, Gatorade, ice, food, pretty much whatever they needed. And as Mr. Gravitt alluded to, they're going to need our continued support in the future, because it's going to take a while for the community and the departments to recover from this. I know South Hill, they had the Lion Turnip Gear Company was actually going to be on site today to start working with them to try to get some of that stuff done. And I know Alex with the declaration, that's going to help move a lot of stuff forward. But and the service authority too. I mean, they stepped up. Last number I got, they had pumped well over 1 million gallons of water. So for them to be on a 100-degree day to keep up with everything else going on to the county, plus be able to keep enough water for that, says a lot. And again, just thank all the citizens that came out and voiced their concerns to the board. That's what we need to hear. And continue to come express your opinions. That's all I got.
Thank you. Ms. Lundy?
Yes, I think I hesitate to be off to Dennis King for his 35 or 40 years of job well done. And I think we owe him a resolution. He did it, and he did it in good spirits. I think the people that worked with him liked him very much also. I know we're going to miss him as we did Wayne, but we got a good replacement, and I believe we got a good replacement on this one. The Zoological Park. I'm glad it was deferred because of for my benefit, the environmental impact that it may have in the health on the people in the environment. The timing is a little bit off. It could be 6 months down the road, 2 years before you come back to it. Could be another generation of people. It's nice to have some recreation, extra recreation in the county, but right now I think the timing is off. And many of the people have said that the place is not the correct place to have it. So much have been said about the chemical factory. I think the experts in the fire department responded very well. The citizens governed themselves accordingly. We got many telephone calls, or I did, what was going on downtown, and they were sheltered in place, and so other things was going on. But we got to think about the effects on the employees. the inventory that was there, and also the farmers and just gardeners in period. And we pray for rain for the farmers and for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Spence?
Well, I too want to commend all the local emergency responders for a job well done on this recent tragedy. You're going to get all the Monday morning quarterbacks that's going to come along now that, that might question, well, could you have done this better? Could you have done that? That's just part of debriefing and part of your after action plan and so forth will identify those kinds of things. What did we do? What did we do well? What can we improve upon? But I just want to commend anybody that was involved, even people behind the scenes that provided some level, the auxiliary, for keeping supplies to the guys and stuff. This was a huge undertaking. I don't think some people really realize what large scale of response that they had. And again, I just think, thank all of the first responders, thank you, because they continue to keep our community safe. I was involved in a fundraiser with the local high school band, and so we were asked to stop what we were doing and evacuate because we were right there downtown. And so my role kind of became, hey, get these kids to help get them to safety. But what I noticed was as we and others were leaving and trying to evacuate, following those instructions, here was your first responders going towards this tragedy, and that's what happens. These people, every time there's something that needs attention, these folks are of a mindset to step up and go into the area of danger for the benefit of the rest of us. And I just can't say enough about that. So thank all the first responders.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Franklin?
There ain't a whole lot left to say here.
I don't know what I can say.
I agree with everything everybody said. I just hadn't heard Mr. Hargrove yet, so I may have a change of mind after that. But, as of now, everything is okay. But yeah, those first responders and all coming and doing what they did and jumping in there. I really can't be in there for a little while, watching that a little bit. I can't think of nothing else they could have done. I mean, the way they worked together with the Nutrient Ag people and did that. The thing I would caution the public is those people are experts. They know what they did. They know what they saw on both sides, Nutrient Ag there. Don't spend so much time pointing fingers so early at what could have been or would have been. It's easy to set back, do nothing and look at that. Let them take care of that. They, if it's changes that need to be made, they're going to make it and do and stuff. But I just don't see how it could have done any better. You just can't be prepared for everything 100%. I mean, we're probably not prepared for an airplane to drop in on us today. I mean, just like that thing hitting those tanks and stuff like that. So, just be cautious on pointing fingers. Let the dust settle and it'll get worked out.
Mr. Auburn?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Much has been said. Most of it has been said. I received a phone call yesterday morning about the incident that happened Saturday. And I was also told that the support that we had in the county and the surrounding counties. And I was very well pleased with that. But one of the things that was said that it was amazing that none of the structures that were around that facility was damaged. They might have had some, maybe some of the outer parts of it might have been melted, but the structure itself was not damaged. And I thought that was pretty good for the magnitude of the fire and so forth that was there. And I really appreciate that. And also the deferral of the zoo. I listened to Mr. Spence's prayer this morning, and I said, Lord, give us wisdom. And then Mr. Sturtevant came in and said something that aroused my attention. And I'm saying, and I think what Mr. Sturtevant said hit dead point. The reason why I was in favor of deferral. Sometimes things are good, but it's not for right now. Mrs. London referred to that. Yeah. And I don't oppose it, but I don't think it's for right now. So if we defer it for just a little while longer, maybe to defer it to the point that people will come to a better understanding to receive it. But right now, it's not the pivotal point to say, yeah, that we've accepted and so forth. And so, Mr. Sturgeon, thank you very much for that statement. It brought to some real realization and gave me a little bit of wisdom on my behalf. And other than that, I heard that everybody came dressed for Fight the Fire. And Mr. Brinkley had his Superman suit on.
I got it on now. I mean, I come up and stay for 3 or 4 hours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ms. Allgrove. I don't know what else I can say. I completely agree. It's amazing the emergency services county and how organized it is and the dedication that exists among this community is just stellar and outstanding and second to no one else. But we did talk about the ag meeting and we had kind of had some moments of maybe postponing it because of what was going on, but Mr. Brinkley said we need to go ahead and have it. So we're going to go ahead and have it tomorrow night. And that's all I have. So, Mr. Slayton, I can ask for a motion for a closed session now.
Legal matter, probable litigation.
Okay, do we need to read this in blue? You want me to read it? Or you want to read it? You want me to read it?
I mean, I can read it if you want, but somebody's gonna have to make this motion, so.
Okay, well, I'll read it as the motion. I'll be making it. How about that? I move pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.3711 that the Mecklenburg County Board of Supervisors hold a closed meeting for the following purpose. Pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711, A, 7, consultation with legal counsel and briefing by staff members of consultants pertaining to actual or probable litigation, where such consultation or briefing in open meeting would adversely affect the negotiating or litigating posture of the public body. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
We're now in closed session. We'll take a 5-minute break, let everybody clear. entertain a motion for certification. Do I need to read anything?
No, no.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you read this one, Alex, since I've closed everything.
Okay. Whereas the Mecklenburg County Board of Supervisors convened in closed session on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provision of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and whereas Section 2.2-3712 of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by the Mecklenburg County Board of Supervisors that such closed session was conducted in conformity with the Virginia law. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Mecklenburg County Board of Supervisors hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed in the closed session to which this certification resolution applies, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed session were heard, discussed, or considered by the Mecklenburg County Board of Supervisors.
All in favor of that certification, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Does anybody else, everybody coming to the ag meeting tomorrow night? Okay, very good. All right, anybody else have anything?
The orders we put off, when will that come? Will that come up again next month or?
Next month.
But will it be a public hearing again?
I hope not.
No. Are you talking about the Zoom?
Uh-huh.
No, you've had your public hearing. You
We'll
said
just vote
you-
on it next
you
time.
deferred it.
Well,
I'm
it's
sure
not gonna be a
why.
public hearing, but we have public comments, so
Well,
you're gonna get it
frankly,
again.
I don't know what you're gonna know next month that you don't know this month.
That's true.
You have an
Sorry,
opportunity
but-
to discuss what you do.
Oh, no, that's fine. I was just gonna
Right.
comment that, Tom had mentioned, earlier that, talking about the zoo, that we need to make a decision again next month. So I would just, impress upon everybody to go ahead and do any research that you think you need to do, or any other questions you have or whatever. And that was my reason for, deferring is, I still had a couple of more questions I wanted to clarify before I finally make that final decision. But at this point, we got to make a decision.
Glad you did.
So then it will be on your August agenda to answer your question.
All right.
It's just automatic, and it's kind of like your report. It's been on there for a long time.
Anything else? If not, we'll adjourn the meeting.
Mr. Brandon.
Yeah.
Let me speak with you for a minute.
Yes, sir.